Hello everyone, this is Pal Ponder on Weather. In this video, we're going to be talking about a major snowstorm that's going to bring a cold blast of temperatures to the central and eastern two-thirds of the US. So if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all my daily updates to keep you ahead of the storm. So let's get right to it. This is Monday morning, April the 12th. And what we're looking at here is the teleconnections of the PNA, which is the Pacific North American. This pretty much tells the story, what's going to happen over the next week or two. You can definitely see it is well positive. When it's positive, that puts the ridge over the western U.S., and it brings all the warm temperatures there as well. And then now you look at the EPO, which is the Eastern Pacific Oscillation. You can see that is well negative. So that also implies that that's going to be bringing the colder temperatures into the central and eastern two-thirds of the U.S. all the way through, the 22nd through the 25th time frame of April. So for the next 10 to 14 days, those areas should be below average with some much colder temperatures. So let me kind of walk you through this and how all this is going to play out. Here's the latest surface map as later on today for Monday, getting into the evening. So I stopped it here because we're going to have some very warm temperatures still waiting on a cold front down here in the south. We could be hot enough to hit convective temperatures and actually have some severe weather down here in far southwest Texas, extending almost into the Dallas-Fort Worth area later on early evening. But well to the north, you can look at the high pressure. I mean, it's 1044 Arctic high pressure, 1035 Arctic high pressure. That is definitely some colder air. And then underneath it, we got some heavy snow falling in Canada, into Winnipeg, and that snow is actually going to be filtering down into places in North Dakota as well as upper Minnesota later on this evening as that cold air arrives. And out ahead of it, we'll be dealing with some rain showers into Pennsylvania as well as upstate New York. Now, if you take a look at the temperatures, like I mentioned, down to the south, you're going to be well warm today. We're talking 85 in Dallas, 90 down here in the southwest. But that's going to be your hottest time of the week as that cold front will start to enter the picture. And then you got 80s all the way down in the southeast. But there's your 31 degrees in North Dakota. That's the start of the colder air that's to come as a step down process will happen, all throughout the week. So here's the latest Storm Prediction Center. And like I mentioned, the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk of severe weather when you hit convective temperature later on this evening. Said probably after 5 o'clock. I do feel that storms will start erupting around this boundary here in places into Fort Worth, into Arlington, into San Angelo, DeSoto, Cedar Hill has a slight risk for severe weather. And then if you extend all the way down to the south, even Austin, gets into the action later on this evening. So right along this boundary into central Texas, definitely be on the lookout for some strong to severe thunderstorms between like a 5 to 9 o'clock a window later on this evening. But as you go into Tuesday, here's Tuesday the 13th, that colder air just gets just a little bit further south. That amplifies the snow extending over the Dakotas, over Minnesota again. We're still on the backside of those stronger storms. We have yet another disturbance is going to be moving across into Texas. That's going to bring some more rain for you guys for much of Texas, just showers by then because you'll be into the colder air. But then by Tuesday, that colder air hasn't arrived into Louisiana yet, so you still might get some stronger storms into Louisiana on Tuesday with some heavy rainfall by then as well. As we take a look at the temperatures on Tuesday morning, there's your cold front. I mean, that's some cold stuff for the middle of April. We're talking 20s all the way down in Montana, Wyoming, much of the Dakotas. Those 20s will extend into Nebraska as well as Colorado. So that's definitely some colder temperatures. They're going to be on the way. Going to be a step down process throughout the week. So as we go into Wednesday, now the temperatures get a little bit further south. Now that's going to bring the snow line a little further south as well. So now we're going to bring the snow into Nevada, getting into Utah, getting into Colorado again with some heavier snows into the mountain regions. And that will eventually filter into Denver with some more snow for them. But down to the south, you're going to be dealing with more of a zonal pattern as you're going to have some disturbances swing across from west to east, and that's going to bring daily rain chances into Texas, into Louisiana, into Arkansas, for much of the south here as we go through the week, as we'll have a relentless supply of precipitation, just kind of a daily rain showers with, April showers in those parts. But as we go into Wednesday morning, there's your colder temperatures. Still have widespread 20s for much of the central U.S. to the north, but even down into places in Kansas now, we're talking 30s. Getting into Missouri, we're talking 30s. Illinois. So a lot of these places you might even plan to the plant. So you're talking probably maybe a frost that you might be having to cover up your garden in those neck of the woods. As you slink a little bit further south, those 60s hang on well to the south into South Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, getting into Florida, as much of the Northeast will be in the 40s and some even in the 30s going up into Maine. But look out west, that's where your colder temperatures are going to be, but then it'll eventually start to warm up throughout the week. 30s, Washington, getting into Oregon. Those are some of your higher elevations into the mountain regions by Wednesday. But as we go into the day on Thursday, there's your surface map by Thursday morning. That'll bring the snow line a little bit further south, getting into Wyoming, Colorado again. Again, more rain for Texas, right along this boundary in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida Panhandle. It'll be a relentless supply this week. And then swing it up the coast. I mean, look at the low pressure here by Thursday, right off the coast of New England here. And that's when some colder air, look at the temperatures, look at the blue lines here filtering in. So as that cold air will continue to shift a little bit further south, and that'll bring some rain into Pennsylvania, into New York, and just a kind of a cold rain by then. So as we go into Thursday, there's your temperatures. There's your low temperatures. We got still widespread 20s for much of the central U.S., still 30s, so still frost territory in these neck of the woods in Illinois, Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, maybe the Ohio Valley, getting into portions of probably Kentucky as well. Widespread 40s into the Northeast, getting into New England. Down further south, where you're not going to be able to tap into that colder air, we've got 60s for lows for much of Florida, getting into the Carolinas. So as we go into the day on Friday, this is where it kind of gets interesting, because again, will be a step down process all throughout the week with several cold fronts. And by the time we get into Friday, that cold front will really amplify over the central U.S. That's going to bring some much colder temperatures, and then heavier snow into Denver, getting into Nebraska, getting into Kansas, and some heavier rains by then as well in Texas, into Oklahoma, and a lot of the same places in Louisiana. But check out the Northeast as well. Now you're going to be cold enough where some of that could be snow in parts of New York, parts of, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe portions of Connecticut and Massachusetts, as that low just hangs off the coast, brings that colder air, dynamic cooling will set up, and a lot of these places could be seeing snow flying by the time we get into Friday morning, April the 16th, for the middle of April. There's your low temperatures by Friday morning. You can see where the snow is going to fall. Widespread 20s, even 30s for the Texas Panhandle. That's where the snow is going to end. It's going to be all rain down to the south. And then you're going to be cold enough to see a little bit of a changeover in portions of the Northeast as well, with that snow line with widespread 30s, 35. Some of you can be at below freezing. I mean, you can snow easily at 36 or lower, no problem. So a lot of that's going to be snow and the portions that we'll go over here in a little bit. And as we extend the view on Friday, those colder temperatures just remain all day Friday. A lot of these areas won't get out of the 30s, where the snow is going to fall. And portions of upstate New York, getting into Vermont, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, because that low is going to be hanging off the coast there. Yeah, some of these totals, and I'll show you here in a little bit, are pretty impressive for the middle of April. But again, you can see Texas, more rain for you guys. A lot of the same areas in the same places those heavier rains will just extend throughout the week. And that snow continues to fall in Denver, into Nebraska, getting into Kansas again. And those totals are very impressive as well for the middle of April. As we go into Saturday morning, it kind of dies down a little bit. That low will be extending off the coast to the northeast. We start to clear it out a little bit in Texas, into Louisiana. Then the range shifts further east into southern Georgia, into the Florida Panhandle by then. But let's go over the temperatures on Saturday morning, as that colder air will continue to shift a little bit further south as we go throughout the week. There's where the widespread 20s, that's where most of the snow is going to be falling. It could be extending all the way down into portions of New Mexico by the time we get into Saturday morning, the 17th. And we keep those well below average temperatures for a good chunk of the central U.S. and then 30s for the Northeast for Saturday, the April 17th. There's your snow, and it's some very impressive snow at that. And we'll definitely zoom into some of these areas. Here's up in Canada, we're talking double-digit totals. Some welcome precipitation in North Dakota, and it's going to be falling as snow. A lot of it's going to be falling as snow as well, and especially upper Minnesota. But man, Denver into Colorado, into Nebraska, into Kansas here, they could be picking up some heavier snows as well. And there's your snow for the Northeast, and some of these could be fairly impressive in just a small isolated pocket. So let's go over some of the snowfall totals. And here's an area. I'll kind of zoom into some of these areas. Here's Wyoming. We're talking almost a foot of snow in Wyoming. That is very impressive for the middle of April. Torrington, 6 inches. Casper, Wyoming, 9 inches. Getting into Rollins, 11 inches. Riverton, 11 inches as well. So that's some impressive snow for Wyoming. As we extend into the Dakotas now, we're talking 9 inches in places like in Minot, getting into Bismarck a couple inches, Dickinson a couple inches, Jamestown 6 inches, getting into Devil's Lake another 7 inches for you guys, Grand Forks 7 inches, into Fargo 7 inches as well. Up here in Canada, crossing the border, we're talking a foot of snow, between now and Saturday. So these totals are going to be adding up in a big way as we go into Denver. I mean, this is the latest GFS model. I think this is pretty overdone, but 19 inches in Denver. But again, we're going to be talking about an upslope event, and some of these can be tricky to forecast, but they're definitely going to be seeing some snow. I'm not quite sure they get 20 inches out of this deal, but they could be picking up again, 6 to 10 inches at least in Denver as that upslope will continue to build, and even into Fort Collins here, definitely some heavier snows as well. But yeah, definitely impressive amounts showing up for the middle of April with this snowstorm, and that colder air are going to be entering the picture all throughout the week. And as we go into, places into Colby, we're talking 18 inches. So some of these totals are very impressive. Into Sterling, 10 inches. We're talking North Platte, another 5 inches. Scottsbluff, 8 inches. So yeah, definitely some impressive totals. And as we swing up to the northeast, we're kind of zoom into these areas, into the Poconos, where almost a foot of snow may fly. Into Scranton down here, maybe 2 inches. Into Waterbury, another 10 inches of snow. So these are definitely some impressive totals. Into Keene, 10 inches. Springfield, another 4 inches. So yeah, you can definitely see where some of the heavier snow will fly in isolated pockets. As we swing up the coast, we're talking Worcester, another 2 inches. Lowell, 7 inches, nothing in Boston. So there's going to be a sharp, deep, demarcation line, a sharp cutoff with this snow of where it's going to be able to fall. And as we go up the coast here in Maine, you can see just about another inch getting into a Bangor as well. Here's the latest European model, not quite as bullish, but it still has the snow in a lot of the same areas the GFS model has for the Northeast. It's got those heavier snowfall totals into Canada, especially into North Dakota here, and as well as Minnesota, and definitely some heavier totals extended into Wyoming and getting into Colorado. There's your rain for the rest of the week. For the next 6 days, I mean, they can't buy a drop out west, or they'd be locked in under that ridge of high pressure for most of the week. So well warm for you guys out west. The boundary will extend from the central U.S. into the eastern U.S., where in Texas, they're going to be picking up some much needed rain out there. They just have that severe threat for today, but the rest of the week was very good. We're just talking, pockets of rain showers, heavier rain showers sporadically all throughout the week. We'll have to deal with some severe weather on Tuesday for Louisiana, but again, after that, colder air arrives, and we'll just be picking up a heavier rains and that neck of the woods. And then unfortunately, that area could be picking up some flooding rains, because some of these totals can be pretty impressive as that west-east flow continues with that zonal flow well to the south, and just be kind of inundated with each disturbance as well after another. And that will extend into Florida, get into much of the southeast into Florida here. You can see the boundary here. And then where your heavier totals with the snowfall and the rain for the Northeast, yeah, again, 2 to 4 inches is not out of the question. So some of these totals can be adding up in a big way. And there's your snow up here. A lot of this is going to fall as snow versus the rain, because it's definitely going to be cold enough. So, hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video. Definitely leave your comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel to catch the latest update where I protect you before and after the storm.